During World War II, America searched for new ways to guide weapons accurately toward enemy targets. Radar and electronics were still developing, and the need for precision was urgent. Then one psychologist proposed an idea so strange that many officers could barely believe it. What if a missile could be guided by pigeons? The problem was simple but deadly. Aircraft could carry bombs, but hitting a moving target was extremely difficult. Pilots often had to fly dangerously close, and many weapons missed their targets. Military researchers needed a guidance system that could recognize and track an enemy ship in real time before modern electronic guidance became reliable. The idea came from B.F. Skinner, one of America's most influential psychologists. Skinner had spent years studying how animals learn through rewards. He believed pigeons could be trained to recognize visual targets and respond with extraordinary consistency. To him, the bird was not a joke, it was a living guidance system. The pigeons were trained through reward-based conditioning. A target image appeared on a small screen, and the birds learned to peck at it again and again. When they struck the correct area, they received food. Over time, the pigeons became surprisingly accurate at following the image, even when it moved across the screen. Skinner's proposed nose cone used separate compartments for pigeons, each facing a screen. A lens would project the target image in front of the bird. If the missile drifted off course, the image would move, and the pigeon would keep pecking toward it. Those pecks could then be translated into steering corrections. The concept was almost like a biological tracking system. As long as the target stayed centered, the pigeon kept pecking steadily. If the weapon drifted, the target image shifted, and the bird followed it. That movement could send a signal to the controls, correcting the missile's path back toward the target. The demonstrations were serious, but the idea was difficult for military leaders to accept. A weapon guided by birds sounded absurd, even in a war full of strange experiments. Skinner later complained that the problem was not the pigeon's performance, it was that no one could take the concept seriously enough. Despite the skepticism, the project did receive support for research. The concept was investigated seriously enough to produce prototypes and demonstrations. In a world before compact computer vision, the pigeon offered something machines still struggled to do: recognize a visual target and respond instantly. Project Pigeon was never used in combat. Military officials considered it too strange and impractical compared with other systems. As electronic guidance improved, the need for a living guidance mechanism faded. The pigeons had performed, but the world was moving toward radar, electronics, and eventually computer-guided weapons. The idea did not disappear immediately. After the war, it was briefly revived as Project Orcon, short for Organic Control. Researchers again explored whether trained pigeons could guide weapons. But by the early 1950s, electronic guidance systems were becoming more practical, and the age of pigeon-guided missiles finally came to an end. Today, Project Pigeon sounds ridiculous at first, but the core problem it tried to solve was real. How can a weapon recognize a target and adjust its path in motion? Skinner's answer was strange, but it used the remarkable visual abilities of pigeons in a way that anticipated later conversations about guidance and pattern recognition. Project Pigeon was never fired in battle, but it remains one of the strangest real weapons experiments of the Second World War. It shows how far wartime invention could go when ordinary solutions were not enough. A missile guided by Project Pigeon was never fired in battle, but it remains one of the strangest real weapons experiments of the Second World War. It shows how far wartime invention could go when ordinary solutions were not enough. A missile guided by pigeons sounds impossible, but for a brief moment in history, it was a serious idea.